Live board meeting. If you could all stand for the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. James, could you take attendance?
Certainly. Make sure everybody can hear me okay. Amanda?
Here.
Mike Aldred? Here. Summers here. Mike Whitney? Here. And Shane Gibson? Here. Ann Atchison?
Here.
And Sarah Beth Camperjoni?
Here.
One day. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Must be the venue change. Any changes to the board agenda? I have none. Okay, then let's roll right into our first presentation. Mr. Chad Boyd.
Well, welcome to Daniel Axford Elementary. Really thankful for the opportunity to share some of the things that we have going on here at Daniel Axford. And so welcome, and we'll get started. Here at DA, if you are new to Daniel Axford Elementary, we are just a kindergarten through second grade building. It's actually developmental kindergarten through second grade. We do have a preschool here as well that is part of kind of our OELC program here at Daniel Axford, but we have 355 students, just kindergarten through second grade. New this year, we have added an ASD classroom here at DA, and so that's new for us, has students that are in kindergarten and first grade. In the next few slides, we're going to take a look at some of the academic data for our second graders here at DA. A lot of the other schools may have shared M-STEP data and other data from their schools. Because we're just kindergarten through second grade, we don't take the M-STEP, but we have other assessments, local assessments that we use, and we use a screening assessment. It used to be called FastBridge that you may have heard of, and this year it's called STAR. So we're going to take a look at some of our second graders' FastBridge data over the last couple of years, and then how we're doing this year. And we chose second grade because as they make their way through DA, second grade is sort of their culminating grade here before we pass them on to OES. So this first slide we're taking a look at is our FAST reading assessment for the last 2 years in the spring. So the end of the year, So if we're looking on the left there, we have our 22-23 spring fast reading data. And it includes two categories that were like, basically the green category is proficient and the blue category would have been more of an advanced. So proficient and advanced, and you can see in 22-23, that's about 72% of our students were proficient or advanced. And then when we're looking at 23-24, in the area of reading in the spring, we were up to about 85% of our students were in that proficient or advanced category as we passed them on to OES. Same 2 years, but this is on the math side. So we're looking at our FastBridge math screening assessment. In 22 and 23, 79% of our students were in the advanced and proficient. And then from last year, the 23-24, we were up to 89% of our students that we were moving on to OES in the math category. And so now we're looking at this year. And so this year we've actually changed our assessment from the FastBridge assessment to the STAR reading and STAR math. Similar assessments are like screening assessments that all students take. It's like a computer adaptive assessment. And so we're looking just at our second graders this year, how they did in the fall and winter. We do this 3 times a year. And so we've had 2 testing sessions this year. If we take a look, our second graders coming in the fall, taking this assessment for the first time, 74% of our students were in the proficient or advanced category. And then, of course, we're super proud that we've moved that 74 to 81% of our students here in the mid-year winter range for reading. This is the reading STAR. So moving up and moving forward with those students. The next slide, same data, but for same group of students, but for math. And so we're taking a look at our math in the fall. It looks 75% of our students in second grade on the math assessment were advanced or proficient, and then really proud, jumped up to 90% of the students here at the midway mark of the school year. So when we look at that data, of course, we look at the data in a lot of different ways. But like we say, what are we doing well? What students need support? And when we look at this next slide, we use that data to guide goal setting here at Daniel Axford, but also we use the data to identify students that may need support. So when we sit in our IRIPs, our reading intervention plan meetings for students, we're using how they performed on this assessment and additional assessments to determine what sort of supports they need in the coming weeks and months of the school year. We also set a goal around ensuring that our Tier 1 curriculum, so that's the curriculum that's taught in the classroom, is the written curriculum that we've adopted is also the taught curriculum in the classroom. So you've probably heard other principals this year talk about our teaching and learning instructional playbook that sort of outlines the expectations for curriculum delivery, and it aligns all the schools together. So if you're a student here at Daniel Axford, you're receiving the same curriculum in the classrooms if you're at Clear Lake or Leonard or Lakeville. So one of our goals was just around that curriculum implementation. A point of pride, we'll highlight multiple points of pride here in this presentation for Daniel Axford, but really the picture there below the text is our intervention team here at DA. So with that data, this team sits down with our classroom teachers, looks at the data, identifies reading supports or math supports, or even behavior supports based on some of the data that we collect to meet the needs of each individual student. So in addition to those interventions and talking about IRIPs and things, our teachers through professional development have spent a lot of time continuing to learn and grow as teachers of literacy over the last few years. And so we saw that in some of our growth numbers from the 22-23 school year until now. And also we have times throughout the year where our teachers get together and collaborate around that curriculum. And so we're sort of proud to share some of the work that we're doing. It's really hard for me to stand in one place, I'm sorry. So we're moving on to some other data that we collected over the course of the last couple years. If you take a look at this data here, a survey went out to parents. Here at DA, we don't survey our students the same way they might at the high school or middle school or just because of their age. But we get a lot of our survey data back from our parents and staff. If you take a look at this slide, in blue is this year's data, and then in red is the previous year's survey. So some of the things that stood out as really positive, I'm not going to read all of those, but one of the things that we were really proud of, on the very bottom it says 93% of parents agreed or strongly agreed that the school encourages families to volunteer. And we're particularly proud of that one because it jumped up from 78% the year before, but it was an area of focus that we had last year, coming out of our COVID years and those sort of things. Getting parents back in the building was really important to us. So we emphasized that last year, and it was like very satisfying to see that the work that we were doing showed positive results. So if we take a look at the bottom there, is our area of focus this year, and that is here at DA, one of the areas that we want to see grow. 71% of parents indicated that discipline is enforced fairly. And I think that's come up in many of the surveys across the district. And so it's an area that we are working on. It bumped up a little bit from the year before, but we continue to do our work in and around PBIS. I think all the schools have probably talked a little bit about PBIS in their presentations, but to sort of align our discipline response, one of the major things that we're doing with PBIS this year, in the lower left-hand corner, is our behavior consequence continuum, and that sort of lays out behaviors that students may demonstrate and our response to those behaviors. So we do have a code of conduct, but our students are also developmental kindergarten through second grade. So it's also a learning process as well. And so our response first is to teach and reteach to be sure that they're understanding what our expectations are while they're here at school. And this really helps get all staff aligned in response in around behavior. So some of it starts in the classroom, some things become office managed, and office supported and classroom supported. So that, in addition to that, our PBIS still focuses on acknowledging positive behavior. That's a huge, major piece of our PBIS here at school. Students earn paw tickets, and we have special celebrations in around students being acknowledged for being principled, caring, and safe here at Daniel Axford. In classrooms, teachers are using community circles to build relationships and talk about expectations. Students are participating in second step classroom lessons. And in one area as well we're working on is collecting data around behavior. Teachers have incident reports, or where if the student has a minor behavior that they've addressed, just documenting so that we can build as much support around that student as we can. All right, now we're getting into some slides that I'm super proud of. Whenever somebody asks me, like, what are your points of pride here at DA? There's so many great things to talk about, so I always feel like I'm going to leave something out, but we certainly can't capture everything, but I just wanted to highlight a few things today. So right here, one of our points of pride, DA and OES, we share our PTO. They're amazing. It's almost monthly. We have this big event where families come together. And just last weekend was our PTO Spring Fair, Hollywood themed. It was absolutely amazing. I just, walking in, it was just wonderful. And the kids had so much fun. So all of the events that our PTO puts on, they work so hard, but it's great for our school and our families. Our teachers did, second grade teachers this year put on a math night where students came in and learned math games that they could take home and play with their parents to practice number sense activities. And so it was teacher initiated. They came to me and said, we would love to do this in the evening. And of course, those moments make me really proud. So I wanted to be sure to recognize that this evening as well. We've done some wonderful assemblies here and field trips this year. Just last week, we had a sloth in the building and a giant python. And so that is probably one of our favorite days of the year. We have Science Alive come, and they go to every single classroom, and the kids get to touch and feel some really cool animals. So they didn't bring it this year, but sometimes they bring an alligator. So definitely they have a lot to tell their parents when they go home that evening. We've also visited the fire department, went to Henry Ford this year, Camp Tamarack. I think Mr. Whitney might recognize somebody up there. We also have had some really great spirit days here at Daniel Axford this year. I think across the district, you probably saw a lot of Detroit Lions days down the stretch there. We're already looking forward to next year. Our grade level concerts are always amazing. We have those up at the high school at the Performing Arts Center. In the upper right-hand corner, our students, our teachers, celebrate at the end of writing and reading units. They do some sort of celebration, and many times it involves inviting parents in to hear different writing that students have done or reading with students. And so that's always a great time to see parents coming in and the kids so proud to share their work. Amazing staff here at DA. I don't like to tell a lot of people that because maybe they'll try to steal my people. But they are just great. And so here they're fun. That was actually at the very start of the school year at our welcome back breakfast at the district. They had a little photo booth. And so super proud of our staff and love having them. We also have a wellness team. Mrs. Francis, very competitive. We did a Super Bowl wellness activity. We all made soup. She won not only the best soup, but also the best name of soup. So she kind of swept the competition, and she was super proud of that and let us know. Her soup's name was Squashed Dreams, and I think it was because the Lions didn't make the Super Bowl. But so appropriately, she won the competition this year. A new point of pride for DA this year is our new ASD classroom. So we had a lot of planning in and around adding that classroom to our school this year, and it's been amazing. They've quickly become part of our school community. Just like the friendships that they've made, the students are both supported in their classroom, but also in their grade level classroom as well. We have peer mentors, students building independence, and we're able to offer inclusion for them as well. Next month in April is Autism Awareness Month, and we'll be doing some special activities in and around there, and some things we'll be doing district-wide as well, so you may see some information coming out about that. And the last thing I want to highlight, it is March, so it's March Reading Month. Here at Daniel Axford, we have a whole calendar of spirit days and fun activities. We have our book fair going on in our library. Right out here, you can see there's a tournament of books going on. Students are voting on their favorite book. They're all sort of sports themed because we have a sports theme for our March Reading Month. Students also, if they're participating in activities, reading at home, they can earn baseball tickets to the park in Utica, Jimmy John's Field. So I think all schools probably have March Reading Month activities. March is not the only month you should read in, but it is a special month that we celebrate reading. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I'm not a fan of my positioning at the table because I can't stand that I can't look at you while I'm talking to you, but I had a few questions for you. Related to the data that you were talking about, the testing for the math and other data points that you brought forward, do we know where we stand related to like the rest of the county or with the state?
So there is like normed national data that we look at with those scores that are coming in. With this STAR assessment this year, it is our first year with that assessment. We are able to compare ourselves with each other and then to the national norm sort of piece, yes.
Okay, perfect.
And that's how they come up with their different sections of like being low risk or proficient is based on that norm data.
Okay, great. Now, the data that you said you guys were collecting regarding behaviors, is that stored in their student file, or is that in a database, or how are you guys collecting and storing and organizing that data?
So like anything that is like involving like a major behavior, we would call them a major, that involved the code of conduct. We have like a student information system that we like store that important data in. Here at Daniel Axford, we have behavior all day and like line cutting and like, if you think back to K2 and your own experience, there's a lot of things that go on sort of on a regular basis. And so we're not necessarily documenting all of that, but if it is something that's getting a little more elevated, hey, we've talked about that a bunch. Teachers document it somewhat in their own way. And then we have like some unofficial ways that we sort of like Google form that we keep some of that stuff in to determine like, is this something that's getting bigger? It's more so that we can align supports to those students and reteaching opportunities and those sort of things. But becoming part of their like permanent long-term record, it would have to be like a major thing that we turn to the code of conduct for addressing those behaviors.
Okay, perfect. And sorry, last question. The ASD classroom, is that an indefinite thing here, or is that tied to funding that we're worried about down the line?
I don't know those like exact answers, but I'm hoping it's indefinite. So I think it's certainly become part of our community and culture here already. And so we are planning on having that certainly indefinitely going forward.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Don't be sorry at all. Thank you for hosting. It's
Thank
been
you.
very lovely. We appreciate your space and, of course, your presentation.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Next up, our food service update from Patty.
Hi, I'm Patty Solori. I'm the food service director here at Oxford. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to talk about the updates at the middle school at OEIC. And I have some pictures that I'm going to share. But first, I would like to talk about what an excess fund balance is, because that is what has allowed me to do the renovations. An excess fund balance is when the fund balance exceeds 3 months of average expenditures at the end of the year. Directors have to submit a plan on how to spend that excess fund balance, and it has to be done by the end of the next school year. The food service fund balance is a restricted account, and so it cannot help the general fund. Those funds have to be reduced by putting it back into the food service program, by buying equipment, more staff, upgrading food quality, things like that. During COVID, so every month I get reimbursed by the state for every meal that I serve for that month. During COVID, the reimbursement rate went higher than I would ever have charged for a lunch, and it really hasn't come back down. And so now that we're feeding everybody for free and our accounts are up, all of us in the state are in the same boat. So they've been pretty lenient about making us spend it by a certain amount. So I received my letter in the spring of 2023, and I've been trying to spend down my fund balance since then. So there's things that I'm allowed to spend it on and things I'm not allowed to spend it on. So these are things that I am not allowed to spend it on. I can't put air conditioning in, security cameras, PA systems, infrastructures. I can't expand kitchens or have fans. So yeah. So like I said, I received my letter in 2023, and these are some of the things that I have spent it on. First of all, I gave all my staff raises and implemented bonuses for recruiting and retention of staff. I created 4 full-time positions with benefits. Usually food service workers work between 3.5 hours to 5.75 hours, and only 1 employee is offered benefits. So that's huge for 4 of our people to have full-time positions and benefits. I increased the food quality. I replaced all the computers, all the point-of-sale computers at every kitchen. I got new lunch tables at Clear Lake and at OEIC. I got a frozen yogurt machine at the middle school. We had a major repair in the walk-in freezer at the high school. The walk-in freezer is probably a little bigger than this room, and the floor fell, so it had to be jacked up. So that was a major expense. I did the middle school renovation, and now we're working on the OEIC kitchen renovation. So here's some pictures from our middle school. This is the new double convection oven and the combi oven. The combi oven can cook 5 ways. You can bake cookies in there, you can roast meat. We use it mostly for fries. Since we can't fry fries anymore, a combi oven can crisp them up. This is the long-awaited dishwasher. The middle school serves about 700 meals a day and never had a dishwasher. So they got a new garbage disposal and a dishwasher. So this used to be the snack shack, where it served just cookies and chips and our new frozen yogurt. But when we continued to feed all the students every day, we had to come up with a plan to speed up the lines. So we made the snack shack another food service line. They can still get cookies and chips. They can get those at all the registers. But this is now grab and go. You can see the nice salads that are there. And in those pans are all different kinds of pre-made subs. And they just grab those and chips and fruit or vegetable, and they're on their way. It's really fast. That is also where pre-orders are picked up. So this is the kitchen at OEIC. And as you can see, it is in need of renovation. The kitchen there was never a public school, so it's never had to be up to health department code. So that's a lot of the expenses bringing this kitchen up to health department code. That's my favorite picture. That's my middle school staff in front of their new dishwasher. So since we're still feeding everybody for free and still getting the higher reimbursement rate, I am always thinking of the next thing that needs to be replaced. So these are allowable expenses and goals for the future. Since COVID, we have been serving breakfast in the classroom, and so I'm really limited on what I can serve. We have come up with a way, I think, that will work to serve a hot breakfast in the classroom. And so I'm working out all the details and hoping to start it next school year. But I'll need some equipment to do that. So that will be the next thing. The walk-in refrigerator at the middle school is our oldest piece of equipment that has not been replaced. I haven't had to have any service on it, but I probably will have to replace it before too long. I have a steam table at the OES kitchen that needs to be replaced, and sooner or later, I will need a new food service van. So those are just some things just in the back of my mind for when I have to spend money again. That's it. Any questions?
Questions? Shane?
Just a few questions. I think you answered this, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. When you talk about the funds, do they need to be spent by that next school year, or just the plan has to be submitted prior to that next school year?
The plan has to be submitted within 10 days.
Oh, sorry.
And the money, I didn't say that, but the money has to be spent by the next school year. But because of those reasons, all of us have excess funds, so they've given us a lot of grace.
Okay, great, perfect. How much currently do we have in excess in that fund?
1.3 million.
And the full-time positions that you created, are those expected to be indefinite, or are we going to be tied to like when the money runs out?
My people bid on their jobs every 2 years. This is a bid year. So if I make it permanent this year, I have to keep it for 2 years. My hope is if we're not feeding everybody for free, that we'll still, because of the quality of food, we'll still be able to keep those full-time jobs.
Okay, perfect. Last question is, I know you said that we have improved the quality of food. What tool or what, like, I guess, barometer are we using to measure that?
So I always look at what's trending, what kids are eating, and I know Chick-fil-A is huge. So instead of getting chicken patties from Gordon's Food Service, I reached out to Chick-fil-A's supplier and order my chicken sandwiches from them. So we do a Wildcat filet. So it's things like that. I get hummus at the new Fatouche restaurant in town because we serve hummus bowls every day. So just things like that.
Great. No, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have
Mike?
some. Well, first off, thank you. I know that some of my kids would appreciate bringing back the hot breakfast. So that was one of the things that they appreciated, I guess. For future expenses, can you go back to that slide, if possible? For the, I guess, well, one of the questions I had was as far as the new service van. So for a food service van, I know we do, I think we do deliver food at times to some of our other, so what would that food service van be used for?
So the food service van does caterings, like if there's a catering in the district, they deliver that. They also do all the mail throughout the district. And then if,
Okay.
say DA forgot to order something and they needed it from the high school, he would run that over. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parabeth?
You talked about how before COVID, not all the students got meals, but because of COVID, they now have to be. And you said something about going back to not feeding all of the kids. Is that like soon, or is that a future thing?
During COVID, they upped the reimbursement rate, but then Governor Whitmer passed all meals for Michigan, and that's when our students started eating free meals. So I'm thinking as long as she's here, they will all get free meals.
Okay.
But we never know. This year, I had to start school not knowing and then go back and change things because I found out after school started that we were feeding everybody for free.
Okay, and when did the high school walk-in, you said the floor dropped?
Yeah, I guess they brought a lot of sand in, we're up on a hill over there, and so the floor did fall.
Okay.
2023, they jacked that up.
Okay. Thank you. And by the way, I love your meals that we've had and enjoyed on the staff here.
Good, thank you.
Anybody else? I had a couple quick ones. Could you tell me, when do you expect the OEIC kitchen completion? Do you have a date?
We're expecting it by the beginning of the school year, to be in there by the beginning of the school year,
So because
next year.
Fantastic. And in one of the questions I had asked about the turnover rate, you indicated that it was 19%. Do you have an idea of whether that is on par with other Oakland County or Michigan school food service programs, or if we're above or below the average?
We are right on par. We're all going through that.
Okay.
And another, for the food service van question, something else that we do with that is we are taking meals from the high school right now, usually about 100 a day, and delivering to OEIC. And the quality just is not there. I can't wait for that kitchen to be open.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Scheduled public comment, we did not have any. Moving into the consent agenda, we have our regular minutes and closed session minutes and HR updates. Would anybody like to make a motion? Mike A?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support? James, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving into our superintendent's report. Dr. Milligan.
All right, good evening, everyone. First thing I want to say is thank you to my staff, to our community, to our parents who came to our community conversations today, bless you, at here in DA, right down the hall. We had snacks, which was lovely, and lots of great conversations. So just the energy in the room was really positive. It's nice to be able to sit down and just talk, right? Which is the point of these community conversations. Get to know one another better, get to ask questions, get to just understand perspectives that might be different from your own. So I really, really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you for being there. We have another one coming up next month. It'll be at the high school from 6 to 7. Again, it's the hour before the board meeting. We'll get some feedback about this one and if we want to shift anything up, but I think it was very positive. And so I invite everyone to join us again. Bring your questions, bring your thoughts, get to know one another. It really was a positive experience, so thank you for that. This week is our social workers week. We are celebrating our social workers, and Pam Beal sent out a beautiful email to all of our social workers, and I asked her if it was okay to lift that up because I just thought it really captured the essence of our celebration for our social workers. So I'm just going to read what she wrote just because I think it's so poignant. So school social workers are the heart of our schools. They are the ones who step in when students are struggling, ensuring that no child feels unseen or unheard. They provide support during life's toughest moments, offering guidance, resources, and a sense of hope to those who need it most. They help families navigate challenges, work closely with teachers and staff to remove barriers to learning, and advocate for students in ways that change lives. The impact of their work is immeasurable. Whether it's helping a student through a crisis, connecting a family to much-needed resources, or simply being a trusted, safe presence in a child's life. Our school social workers make a difference every single day. To our school social workers, thank you. Thank you for your dedication, compassion, and unwavering commitment to our students. Your work matters more than words can express, and we're beyond grateful for everything that you do. So please take a moment this week and really celebrate our school social workers for all their hard work, the compassion, and the dedication that they have for our students. It's really impressive. All right, many of you hopefully have had an opportunity to see the request for feedback. We have a proposal to adjust security measures at next year's after-school events. This really is an opportunity to get community input. No decisions have been made. We just want to get a sense of where people stand with these concepts. And this actually came out of our Parent Safety Advisory Board. This is what got the ball rolling because we were trying to figure out what is the best structure safety-wise for after school. Right now it's set at 500, but there's no real rhyme or reason as to why it's 500, why isn't it 5,000, why isn't it 50, right? And so we brought it to our Parent Safety Advisory Board, and they kind of got us rolling on this path. They said, hey, why don't you talk to the safety experts and see what they have to say? So we talked to our sheriff's department members as well as our internal safety experts, and they gave us great input. So then we continued to craft the proposal. We brought it to the district safety committee. We modified it even more. We brought it back to the Parent Safety Advisory Board. We modified it even more. And I brought it to the board last December and said, hey, we're going to get some more feedback from our community. Trust me, I very much understand that safety is extremely important, and I would never, ever compromise that. I just want to make sure that we have a good understanding of how we are approaching safety, and is it the best way that we can do it, right? So your feedback is very welcomed. Please take a moment. We'll keep it open. No decisions are going to be made until we have a clear understanding of where our community stands in terms of our after-school safety protocols for next year. So thank you in advance for taking the time to fill this out and give us a good sense of where our community stands. Our moving truck did not look like that at all. It was not orange. It was a big white van. But that's what landed there. So central office has moved to OEIC. We are officially over at OEIC. It's magical is probably the best word that I can use, right? When I say magical, yes, it's a lovely space, but more importantly, being together, seeing one another in the same space. We've been so compartmentalized for so long. Some are here, some are there, some are all over the place, and it's just so nice to be able to see people as you're crossing paths. And a lot of our communication happens just casual conversation. We get to know one another better. We strengthen our collective work. So that has been a really incredible situation for us at central office. So we still have the facility on North Washington Street. We'll still be talking as a board on, what our thoughts are on that space. Right now we're using it for professional development. We continue to have meeting spaces there. We actually are in collaboration with some of our community members who may also hold meetings there. So it's definitely going to be well used until we decide our next steps. This is just a little teaser. I got this data the other day, and I asked them, I said, hey, can I share this? Because it's just really fun. As you know, attendance during the pandemic, and then, of course, the tragedy, we have just had one situation after another, and it has definitely impacted our attendance across the board. That was one of the first conversations I had when I got here was my team talked about the challenge with attendance. And, there's a variety of reasons why we've had attendance challenges, but many of our schools in their presentations talked about initiatives, PBIS initiatives, different incentives that they have. The high school has the exam incentive. And we're looking at the data. It is really impressive, and we're not at the end of the year yet, so hopefully it will be even more impressive. You can see a significant difference in where our students fall in the different attendance bands. We have a significant number increase in the 90 to 100% attendance. And I'm sure this is kind of a given, but there is a very strong correlation between student academic success and attendance. So the better the attendance, the more likely they'll be successful academically. So this is just a teaser. Hopefully we'll see this across the board. I just couldn't wait till, Brad, I stole your thunder. All right, we've had some exciting strategic planning sessions. We are really making great progress. I'll show you on the next slide. The cabinet showed the vision, mission, core values. We're now working on our goals. We've been really focusing on, what is the spirit of the goal? What are the structures of the goal? What do we talk about with aligned action? So we've had a lot of great conversation. We just brought that to our ad team. So thank you to our ad team for giving great insight and input into these goals. As everybody knows, this is a very iterative process, right? We go back, and actually the goals that I'm going to show you right now, they're on their actually fourth iteration. So we'll probably have several more iterations before we even get close to a final draft that we would then use at our community meeting on April 9th. So it's actually been, for us who love that stuff, it's been really fun. So that's where we're at. And hopefully by next week, we'll have kind of a solidified version of what it is we're going to share with our community in terms of the goals. So our vision, mission, and core value really came together very nicely. We have it there. Vision is empowering learners, building community, inspiring futures. And as somebody said, put it on the side of the bus. Why is your face like that?
That's just his face.
Sorry.
I don't have that slide.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Sorry. I must have added that.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sidebar. And then we have our mission, providing a supportive, safe, and opportunity-rich educational experience that fosters belonging, builds self-empowerment, and prepares learners to contribute to a connected community. I know, that's awesome, right? And then our core values: empowerment, belonging, innovation, and integrity. I just love those. And what I love about those is I know how much hard work went into creating those and how many voices were heard before we landed on those. So it feels really good. I talked to somebody today, they're like, this just feels good. It feels good to be kind of reshaping and re-understanding who we are as a school district. So it's really fun. So that's our third iteration of our goals, and we're working on our fourth iteration right now with the feedback from ad team, and we'll continue to craft those, and we'll get lots of community input at the next meeting. One of the feedback pieces that community gave us is they loved the gallery walk, but they really loved the small group conversation, and they just wanted some more facilitation at those small group discussions. And so our ad team found out today that they will be helping to facilitate that dialogue, and they are incredibly excited. They will be, right? Yes. But they will be incredibly excited to do that work. So we're looking forward to our next session, again, April 9th. We did send out the sign up. Remember at the last session, we said, hey, all of you awesome people who came,
bring a friend. So bring a friend, you'll get to sit together and everything, I promise. We will not separate you. And so you can scan that QR code, you can put in that link, sign up, please join us. The more voices, the better. It was such a engaging and energizing experience just to hear all of the dialogue of people's hopes and dreams and how we want to shape Oxford Community Schools. Added bonus, so for our board members, after the strategic planning session, Dr. Dixon, who is one of our facilitators, is actually going to do a short workshop for our board members that attend each session. Essentially, the title is, okay, we have a strategic plan, now what? What do we do? What does that mean for our work as a board? So that's 1 hour after each of the sessions, and she is going to facilitate that conversation so we know how to leverage that tool. It's pretty exciting. I do want to bring to everyone's attention, you see on the agenda, there is a staff reduction that the board is going to vote on tonight. I did want to talk a little bit about that staff reduction. The position is the grant-funded Executive Director of Student Services and Wellness. That's Todd Barless. The grant funds have ended, and with his leadership and the support of his team, we have made significant progress in strengthening the district infrastructure for supporting the well-being of our students and staff. And it was really fun here at the meeting. Todd was talking about all of the things that they've put in place in the schools, and the community member who was with us was just bedazzled. She was like, wow, you have all of that, you do all of that. He talked about the peer mentoring. He talked about the trusted adults. He talked about, you know, all the programming and support that we have. So we have a very robust program that we have built over this time period. And ultimately, a grant, the goal is to work yourself out of a job, right? The goal is to build capacity. As I say a little bit further down, wellness lives in our school, and we have really built that capacity in our schools. When you go into the schools, the number of supports we have for students is really impressive. It brings me great joy to see the care and love that we have for our students. So, which is the only reason we can really transition this position, because there is the confidence that we have the supports in place. Now, the good news is that Todd Barless has agreed to transition to Crossroads. He actually started his career with Adjudicated Youth, and now he'll be with Adjudicated Youth and supporting their education. So we're excited for him to transition there. In that position, he can also continue to support some of the wellness initiatives that we have at our community level. So we're super excited that we're able to still benefit from his talents. That's pretty exciting. We have a lot going on in the district, and I suspect we're going to have a lot more. So we'll start with Leonard Elementary. They had their 5th grade exhibition last Friday. I had a chance to visit and was incredibly impressed. So thank you, Paul. That was really awesome. It was great to see the kids. They were so confident. They chose their topic. They had mentors. They decided on the research and how they were going to structure it. I went to a one on wildfires, and they interviewed, first responders, fire people, and, they were just incredible. And the different topics, they had so many different topics that they covered. They were organized. They, presented well. And I think one of the most impressive things for me is that as students, if they were done presenting, they actually had a clipboard and went around and gave feedback to the other presentations. So talk about a real world situation. It was impressive. And the parents were there, and it was so energizing to see them engage in the presentation. It was really fun. I was at Clear Lake yesterday. I'm trying to think who mentioned it. Reading is important every month, not just March. However, Stephanie at Clear Lake, we actually went to visit, and we went to a kindergarten room, and I was amazed. Now, Stephanie did explain that they had just come in from recess, so because they were all sitting there in their chairs, and while the teacher read this book, right, and it's a book that every grade is reading across the board, which is really cool. The whole school, if you look there, it's Candyland in the back. And from the ceiling, there's these little candy decorations that are hanging down. It was so cool. And just a really engaging and energizing situation. And Stephanie talked about how families receive the book at home, so they can also read that book with their child. So it's just a really neat way to approach reading from a community standpoint. So I thought that was really great. Thank you for sharing all that, Stephanie. We had the finale. Okay, I might have been a little addicted. I went to the play 3 times, sorry. But the last time I actually got to go behind the scenes, and oh my gosh, our kids are just amazing. They are just incredible. Huge shout out to Krista Price, Jim Gibbons, Dana Brewer, and all of the staff. I cannot name all of the staff because everybody really participated. They had a guest constable every show. Mr. Brad Bigelow got to have his theater debut. I didn't put the picture up there. You're welcome. He did a great job. He was fabulous. Everybody was fabulous. It was just so fun. And the kids, they're just so talented. I think one of the things that also impressed me when I was talking to Krista, she talked about how many parents and volunteers came in to make the show work. Some of the parents hadn't had kids there in 10 years, and they were still coming back and contributing. You know, that whole community feel. It was really impressive. This is Lakeville Elementary. So Lakeville Elementary, their students created math games. They could decide the type of math that they used for their game. They had the artwork where they actually created the game board. And then when they had a chance to present, the kids rotated around the games. They had to have the instructions written out. They had to be able to explain the process, math and the game process. So that communication element was there while all kids were learning. So just overall, all of the learning, the critical thinking that went into that type of assignment. And most importantly, the kids had fun with math, because math is fun. At least in my mind, it is. And we have a whole bunch of congratulations out to our high school athletes and extracurriculars. Wait till you see all of these. It's incredible. So we have a state champion, Cheyenne Frank. She is state champion wrestling for 120 pounds. So let me say this again, another state champion. Woohoo, right? Amazing. We have Luke Johnson was runner-up. I don't know if you've heard, so it was a really, really tight competition. I don't think they call it overtime in wrestling. I'm sure they have a much more fancy word for it, but it was essentially triple overtime. There it is. And Luke, Don Maskell told me about this. So apparently all Luke had to do was hold his opponent down and not let him go, and he would win the state championship. And he did that in the very few last seconds. The athlete got loose, but he still had a hold of him. And unfortunately, when he was holding him, he got a hold of his outfit, and it's a disqualification. So that's how I know. But awesome. And actually, Don shared a post from Luke. I would think at that age you'd be really frustrated and be angry. It was so uplifting. It was so positive, just as far as him and what he's learned from the situation and how he's going to grow. I was just so impressed with this young man. We also have Gavin Lewis, who took third in the state. So our wrestlers just did phenomenal. So congratulations to the wrestling program and the coaches. Boys bowling, 10th in the state, so an excellent run. 10th out of, numerous teams throughout the state, so that's pretty exciting. So congratulations to the boys bowling. Our swim, our 400 relay qualified for state, so it'll be exciting to see what they do. Okay, let's talk robotics. This was phenomenal. It was at Kettering University. Our team formed an alliance with 2 other teams. I learned this only because the parents educated me when I was in the stands, and their alliance went on to win the whole thing. So there were over 40 teams there. Those are our drivers. How much do you love those overalls? Are those not the best? So that was when they were picking their alliances. So that was that energy in that stadium was incredible. Like people and their outfits were all unique. It was a great opportunity to see that. Fortunately, their field trips are already approved. So as they progress in winning, which I have no doubt they'll continue, they're good to go to all of their competitions. So that's exciting. Also, congratulations to Ryan Cicero, 3rd place powerlifting. Did you know we had a powerlifting team? Well, now you do, right? So good job, Ryan. Our boys swim and dive, Ian Frank and Nathan Lagest. I probably said that wrong. Lagest. Okay, there we go. Also, they're league champions, Ian in 100 backstroke, and Nathan in 11, yes, that says 11 dives. So I've been informed that 11 dives mean they have to do 11 different dives, which I didn't even know there were 11 different dives. I just know the head first dive. That's it. So congratulations to both those young men. So there you go. Lots of exciting things. It's only going to get better as the spring comes around. So talk about being here, there, and everywhere. I will have to have my rollerblades on to get everywhere where I need to be. So thank you.
Any questions or comments? Sarah Beth?
I didn't quite get what book the kids were all reading. What was the title of it?
It was The Chocolate Touch.
The chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the part that we heard when we were in the kindergarten room, I think it was like a leather belt or something leather, and it like turned to chocolate, and they got to eat it.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, hallelujah. Like, yes, please.
And
Let me have the chocolate touch.
Also, did I understand, Todd is leaving us because the grant is no longer there.
Todd is not leaving us.
But I mean, he's switching. He's
Correct.
laying over.
Correct. So, right.
So we have a wellness person in each building, though.
For sure. Yeah, we have FSLs. We also have district. So some of his role will be divvied up among other people who will be able to support that work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Shane?
Yeah, sorry. Just a quick comment, I guess. The community conversation, I really enjoyed it. I was able to speak to 2 or 3 different folks in the community, and my hope is that it grows and that more people show up to the next one that we have. So please, those watching at home or when you go home, bring a friend next time. I really thought it was beneficial, and I really enjoyed it. So hopefully those that took part in it felt it was as beneficial as I did. Maybe it could be a little longer.
Just one, I guess, point of clarification. The board workshops after the strategic plan. So there's the 2 time slots. So you're saying after those,
After
each of those time
Correct.
slots.
So there's 2 options.
Okay.
So whoever attends the first
Okay.
one, Talisa will do the workshop after that, and the second one as well. So you have 2, whichever one you attend, you'll be able to have that.
Anybody else? I want to echo what Shane said. I absolutely love when we have our community conversations. It never disappoints, and I'm very excited that we started it back up. So thank you. I appreciated the format this time where we were segmented into different departments from the district. That I think was very helpful. It wasn't more of a, if I don't know the answer, I need to get back with you. We had all of the experts here with us tonight. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for our community members' time, and we really, really hope to see you next month. And speaking of thanking, just want to say thank you to all of our staff, principals, everyone who has hosted us through our school walkthroughs. We have gone through most of them. A few are upcoming because of rescheduled dates, but we have thoroughly enjoyed that. That has helped us as a board connect with the work that we do, and we thank you for taking the time. That was Mrs. Sullivan's class, by the way, with the excellent behaving kindergartners. So thank you to all of the teachers and students who have allowed us to come into your classrooms, principals for taking your time with us. It is very much appreciated. We have a few more left, and I just can't say enough good things about that. So that, and lastly, I just have to say it because it's been brought up twice. Mr. Boyd, if you ever have a sloth in the building again, I think you need to make this board aware because everybody was jealous. So just want to throw that out.
No, I wasn't jealous. I was angry.
I was being nice.
It was pretty awesome.
All right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Milligan. And we will move on to our next item of the agenda, Board of Education matters. As you remember, we had a couple of field trips last meeting, so we are here tonight to move to approve those. If you are ready, unless anybody has any other questions, I can take a motion.
Sure.
Mike, thank you.
Move to approve the OMS choir field trip as presented.
Support. Shane? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one, Mike, you want to just go into it?
Move to approve the resolution as presented. For the staff.
Support. Mike Whitney, thank you. Discussion, as you know, Dr. Milligan just touched on this issue, but if you have any other additional questions, comments, now would be the time. No? All right, James, do you want to do roll call?
Yep, roll call vote. I need a yes or a no, please. Mike Whitney?
Yes.
Shane Gibson?
Yes.
James Summers, yes. Ann Atchison?
Yes.
Mike Alder?
Yes.
Sarah Beth Caprigioni?
Yes.
And Amanda McDonough.
Yes. All right. Next, we have the EOP approval, and before we run into this motion, I just want to recap the process that we used this time, and I really appreciate how we did it. I think it was much more effective. I think it led to greater dialogue, better understanding of our EOP. Unfortunately, it took a lot more of Allison's time, so we really appreciate and thank her for that. Where is she? She's hiding. Thank you. And I did ask the numbers just so that we knew. Allison took 10 hours of her time. We split up into groups and were able to go to her office, really dig in, ask any questions, familiarize herself, anyone who was new. And I think it really helped. It was much more beneficial than a closed session altogether. So I hope that we do use that process moving forward because it allowed us all as much time as, I know I went 3 times to her office. I was in 3 of those 2-hour meetings. So thank you again. And I thought the process was great. So unless anybody else has. Let's move to.
Oh, I disagree. It was much more efficient that way,
Yeah.
right? Because we have all different varying experience with the EOP, and so we were able to go there and focus on the changes. For me, focus on the changes from last year, or focus on what we were interested in or had specific questions on, and then at the same time, she was able to spend more time with others that had different questions or needed to be caught up to speed in the whole thing. So it was much more efficient, I think, and so I appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. All right, would anybody like to make a motion?
Oops.
Mike.
Oh, I guess I am going. Move to approve the EOP as presented.
Support. James? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, unscheduled public comment. Do we have some, Justin? Thank you. Jennifer Hart?
Hello, I'm Jennifer Hart. I have 3 students here in the district, 2 here at DA and 1 over at OES. And I put down that my concern was budget concerns. And I wasn't planning on talking tonight, but right before I got here, I saw the news report that they are laying off half of the Department of Education staff. And what I've appreciated the last couple of years is that the district has been very forward-thinking, looking ahead, knowing that we were going to have some budget concerns as money from COVID and money from the tragedy runs out. And I guess what I want to express to the school board is, as a parent, I'm very concerned with how upcoming budget constraints coming down from the federal and the state level will affect our schools. At the state level, the Republican House just cut $5 million from the state budget or something like that. And it's just very worrying to me as a parent sitting at home. So I'm not asking tonight necessarily for a direct action from the school board, but I just want to express that as a parent sitting at home, we are very worried and we are very concerned about this issue. So I just look forward to hearing from the district and hearing from the school board what plans or contingencies or even just some empathy towards us and how that's going to affect our students moving forward. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, that being the last one, we have a closed session scheduled. Would anybody like to make that motion? Shane, thank you. Yep, the whole thing.
Move to meet in closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 8C, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
No.
Sorry.
You want to start over?
Oh, how did I?
The second.
Second. I am so sorry.
Yep.
Move to meet in closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 8E, to consult with its attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with case numbers 23-1483, 23-1563, 23-1489, 23-1565, 23-1484, 23-1487, 23-1561, 23-1490, 23-1491, 23-1564, 23-1492, 23-1493, 23-1560, 23-1496, 24-13152, MSC number 167744, MSC number 167746, 24-211021-NO, 24-211221-NO, 24-211225-NO, 24-211234-NO, 24-211240-NO, and 24-211207-CZ pursuant to MCL 15.268E.
Thank you. James, roll call vote.
Yep, roll call vote. I need a yes or no, please. Sarah Beth?
Yes.
Mike Whitney?
Yes.
Shane Gibson?
Yes.
James Summers, yes. Ann Atchison?
Yes.
Mike Aldred?
Yes.
Amanda McDonough?
Yes. All right, it is 8:14 p.m. We are moving into closed session.
School benefits are Linda's office.
is 9:26. We are coming back from closed session. Any administrative clarification, Dr. Milligan?
No.
No? Any final board comments? No? All right. Well, then at the same time, 9:26, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen.